Hello, my darlings, and welcome to day 11 of the 24 days of Advent Adventure. Now, today I'm bringing you a mysterious tale rather than a ghost story, but it's still very thrilling. So, for day 11, Mysterious Christmas Tales by Point Horror. A collection of compelling short stories for Christmases from 9 best-selling authors. It's Christmas, a time for being together, roasting chestnuts and telling stories around the fire. But not all festive tales have happy endings. Does the red-faced jovial figure of Father Christmas hide a more sinister aspect? And are you sure it's only the wind in the trees that you can hear screaming outside? Don't go out and see. These mysterious tales will leave you feeling a little less cozy as you hang up your stocking. Indeed, they will. And the first one I'm going to read to you is by Robert Swindells yet again. Yes, day 11, Robert Swindells' Cloud Cover. Now, Laura is our main protagonist. Her mum is very unwell. She became unwell in the September and is now completely bedridden. Poor darling mum. Dad's doing his best. He's trying to keep the house running, trying to take care of Laura and her mother, his darling wife. But everything seems to be getting a bit on top of poor old Dad. And Laura loved running home to see her mother who was a great artist, who did wonderful, wonderful things with all her time and was forever permanently moving. And now, well, her poor mother can't move. Her poor mother's life is slipping away. And Laura and her father can do nothing about it. One day, Laura, feeling totally at a loss, burst into tears and couldn't face going home, so she decided that she was going to go and have a coffee in the coffee shop. And this is where Laura meets a very strange lady who, feeling very sorry for Laura, decides to sit down a while and asks the poor girl to tell her what's wrong. A problem shared is a problem halved. Oh, that's what she told Laura. But who is this strange, strange woman? We do not know. She seems very interested in Laura. And the story is called Cloud Cover, in case I didn't mention that. And it was written, in 1993, 31 years ago, when I was 17 years old. I loved being 17. It were a great age. 48 now. If I haven't told you that before, 48 years old, and I'm as raggy as I look. Anyway, poor Laura feels that maybe this Christmas might not be as good as all the other Christmases because, well, with Mum being so ill, so very, very ill, how much time do they really have? And what does this mysterious woman want with Laura? Why is she so insistent on telling her the sun will come out tomorrow? True to form, I'm going to read you a little bit from the story. Laura dawdled along the high street, looking at the festive displays in shop windows. It was 2 weeks before Christmas. Last year at this time, she'd already begun to feel that special excitement the approach of Christmas brings. But not this year. The street was festooned with coloured lights again, and the shops sparkled at least as cheerfully as they ever had. But Laura's spirits felt no lift. It was Mum, of course. Last year at this time, Mum had still been her old self, endlessly rushing around, always in a hurry, meetings, painting, classes, coffee mornings and dinner parties, constantly on the phone, never a dull moment and not enough hours in the day. Up until 3 months ago, it seemed the only time Mum sat down for longer than 5 minutes was when she was working at one of her delicate watercolours. Then early in September, the illness struck. It was quite sudden. One day she was hurtling about as usual, and the next her strength had deserted her, so that it was as much as she could manage to walk slowly from her bedroom to the bathroom and back. A virus, the doctor had said. 2 weeks, 3 at the most, and then she'd be fine. But she wasn't. Not in September, nor October, nor November. In November, Dad had taken Mum to see a specialist. At the hospital, they'd done tests, all sorts of tests. They could find nothing wrong, but something was wrong, something without a name. Now, Mum hardly ever came downstairs, and she never went out. She spent a lot of time sleeping, and when she was awake, she'd sit propped on pillows with her eyes closed, listening to the radio. Now and then she'd try to read, but reading made her nauseous. And of course, she couldn't paint at all. She'd become a different person. Laura found this both frightening and utterly sad. It was why she was dawdling on her way home from school, where once she might have flown, and why the approach of Christmas had lost its power to thrill her. The last shop on the row was the gallery, where framed prints of famous pictures shared the window with original works by local painters. Laura always stopped to look in this window. She paused now, gazing through the dusty pane at a dozen or so prints and paintings on display. No tinsel glittered in this window. There was no plastic holly, no artificial snow. The window looked as much as it did all the year round, and in fact Laura had seen all of the pictures before, except one. The new painting was a watercolour. As Laura's eyes came to rest on it, she gasped. The ache started in her chest and spread into her throat, and for a moment she felt she might cry. It was sky mostly, but such a sky! Wide, wild, and wind-racked it was, cloud-clogged and bruised-looking. As she gazed, Laura could feel the wind which drove the clouds, shredding them, spreading them in rags across the bare, blasted moorland hinted at in the bottom third of the picture. She shivered, imagining herself for a moment standing alone in the midst of that howling moor, and she knew that if her mother saw this picture, she would long to possess it. For an instant, Laura's heart soared. She would buy the painting, carry it home wrapped in brown paper, hide it till Christmas morning, and then she saw Mum's face, heard her gasp, as she herself had gasped. She'd be happy, wouldn't she? For a while, anyway. They'd both be happy. Then she saw the price tag and moaned softly to herself. £90! Tears of disappointment pricked her eyes. She didn't have £90. Even Dad didn't have £90, not to spend on pictures anyway. The painting was an original, of course, hence the price, but still. Oh, what's the use? It was as much as Laura could do to tear her eyes away, but she turned and walked on. It's not fair, she thought. Mum's so ill, and that picture would have given her a bit of happiness on Christmas Day. Is that so much to ask? Is it? There was a coffee shop at the corner of the next block. Laura had never been inside, but now, on impulse, she pushed open the glass door. She knew why she was doing it, and the knowledge made her feel guilty. The fact was, she didn't want to go home to a house tainted with her father's pessimism, the faint smell of sickness, and the shadow of defeat. She bought a cup of coffee and carried it to the corner table. Except for herself and the girl behind the counter, the place was empty. Laura sat with her hands wrapped around the cup, thinking about the painting and about her mother. So distracted was she that she didn't realize she was crying, or that another person had entered the shop, till a shadow fell across her, and a soft arm descended on her thin shoulders. Now, dear, whatever's the matter? Huh? Laura looked up, groping in her pocket for a tissue. Her comforter was a smartish woman of middle age, with short iron grey hair. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know I was. I'm all right now. Are you sure? The woman sat down. Perhaps you'd like more coffee. Oh, no, honestly, I'm fine. Feeling a bit sorry for myself, that's all. The woman gazed at her. Sometimes it helps to talk, you know, even to a stranger. Why don't you tell me all about it, dear? She didn't want to. She didn't see how talking could help at all. But the woman had a soothing voice and sympathetic eyes, and in 5 minutes Laura had told her everything. When she finished, her listener looked into her eyes and asked, "And how do you feel now?" Laura smiled briefly. "A bit better." To her surprise, this was true. The woman nodded. "There you are, you see. No trouble so big it won't shrink with sharing." She smiled. "Your mother will be well again, Laura." Laura gazed at her. "How can you be so sure?" "Trust me." She signalled to the waitress and ordered coffee for two. She didn't speak again till it was on the table. Then she said, "I know it seems impossible at the moment, Laura, but the clouds will blow away. They always do. All we have to do is keep going till the sun shines again." She smiled. "Drink your coffee, dear." Laura nodded and lifted her cup. How clever, she thought, to talk in terms of clouds and sunshine when she knows my mind is full of that fantastic picture. It seemed neither of them had anything further to say, because they sipped in silence. When the woman excused herself a few minutes later and rose to leave, Laura said, "Thanks for listening. I really do feel better. I mean it." The woman nodded, smiling. "I know you do. Goodbye, Laura, and remember, look for the sun." Well, I can honestly say that this story has a very convoluted and twisted ending. Very twisted indeed. Well, I'm sure you'll be able to pick this up on Kindle, or maybe find it on Amazon or World of Books or eBay. I'm sure somebody will have a copy of this book. But that's your ISBN number on the back in case you'd like to get a copy for yourself. Because this is a true mysterious little gem, and it's not the ending that you think. Very, very strange. It's almost Twilight Zone, is this. It really is. It's very, very atmospheric. But that, my darling, is where I will leave you with it, because I don't want to spoil the ending. Oh, it's very good. Very good indeed. So, that concludes day 11 of the 24 days of Advent Adventure. And I do hope that you'll come back tomorrow for day 12, because I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do. But it will be a wonderful surprise. It could be spooky, it could be scary, it could be futuristic, it could be set in the past. I don't know. What I do know is we're going to have a very good time. So I'll say what I always do. Happy readings, darlings, and enjoy. And if you like what I've done, you can always give me a thumbs up. If you really like what I've done, you can always give me a follow. And come back tomorrow for another adventure. Take care, my darlings. Bye-bye.